sharing your journey with me. So tell me how it all started.
Well, my husband Mitch and I have been together for 14 years now, and when we got married 5 years ago, we wanted to start a family. So we started trying, and it only took us 3 months to fall pregnant, which we were very lucky. And we were very excited and happy and found out we're having a little girl. And everything was running smoothly. It was a perfect pregnancy and I was loving it, and it was fantastic. And we came to, we had to go for our 32 weeks scan, and it was on Thursday afternoon we were booked in to go to the hospital, and the Thursday morning I had woken up and I just felt really, really different. And Mitch rang me like he normally does in the mornings and said, you know, hey, how are you? How's baby going? And is she moving? And I said, yeah, it's just a bit weird. And he said, oh, what do you mean? And I said, oh, just that I hadn't really felt any movement. And he goes, oh, just maybe call the hospital. And I said, no, I'll be all right. So I got out of bed and I sat on the couch and I was watching TV, and I was like, I just kept poking my belly and kept thinking, it's really, nothing really happening. And then I got up and had a cup of Milo, thinking that might make her move. And then Mitch rang me again and said, has she moved? And I said, no. And then he goes, I'm coming home from work. And I was like, no, don't come home, everything's fine. I'm sure she's just probably having a sleep. And then I knew that something was wrong. So I rang up the hospital, and the midwife said, just take it casually, just come in and we'll just check and see what's happening. And I was like, okay. So I packed my bags and everything, and I was about to walk out the front door, and Mitch pulled up in the driveway. And we both got into the car and we both drove to the hospital. And the whole 10-minute drive to the hospital, Mitch kept saying to me, has she moved yet? Has she moved? And I was like, no, she hasn't. And I was getting so frustrated because I was like, I didn't know something was wrong because I didn't think anything. And then when we got to the hospital, and they took us up to the maternity ward straight away, and the midwife took us in, and I remember it clear as day, like she took us into this side room and she got me to lie down, and she said, when was the last time you felt your baby move? And I said, I felt her move last night. And because every night we'd do like a little prayer and hold my belly and, you know, say goodnight, and I felt her move and everything was normal. And I said, oh, last night about 11. And she's like, okay, nothing this morning. I said, no, nothing really. So then she got the doctor, yeah, and put on my belly, and she kept going around and around, and I could see Mitch just sitting there, and he was like, he was literally rocking himself in the corner. And I was like, it's fine, Mitch, it's fine, don't worry, everything's fine. And she goes, I'm just going to get the doctor. And then when she said, I'm just going to get the doctor, is when I looked at Mitch and I just thought something's wrong. And the doctor came in, and he brought in a bigger machine and had a look and went from side to side, and he put the machine down and he looked at me and he looked at Mitch and he said, oh, I'm really sorry that there's no heartbeat. And I was like, I was in shock, and I was, what? No, there definitely has to be something there. And as I was looking at him in the face, I could see on the side, like, I couldn't look at it, but I could see like just movements, like just her head sort of. And he told me again, he's like, I'm really sorry. And I was like, no. And I remember I was in that much shock that I was like holding my belly, and I was like, no. And I was literally pinching myself, just going, no, like, it can't be real, it just can't be happening. And Mitch was on the seat, and he just had his hands together, and he was like praying, and he was like rocking, and he was just praying and rocking. And then we went downstairs to the bigger room where they do the bigger sort of ultrasound, and that was our third and final time that they said, look, there's definitely nothing there, there's no heartbeat. And then they said to me, if you want, you can go home and pack your bags and come back in, and we can induce you. And so we went home, and I had a shower and packed my bags and went back to hospital. And then they that night, because I was 32 weeks, so they I said to them, you know, can you do a cesarean? And they said no. because they wanted me to go through the emotional part of giving birth, and they thought that by having a cesarean and having the scar there, it would be harder for me to mentally
Grief.
yeah, and I'm really grateful that I did that, because it was something very special for me.
Bonding.
Yeah. So then that night they did like an internal gel, and then it took 2 days. So I was in the hospital for 2 days in the maternity ward, and the whole time I was sitting there I could just hear women give birth and just babies crying, and a few times I actually thought I felt movement, and I'd called the midwife in and said, I think I felt something, and she's like, no Jess, there's nothing there. And then on the second morning the midwife came in, and she then broke my waters and said, it's time now. And then it was about 7 hours in labour, and then after that, I've always been able to talk about it, but now it feels like I'm telling more of a story now. Yeah.
It's part of the healing.
Yeah.
So when all that happened, when did you decide to say, I can't just grieve forever? When did
do you know,
wake up call internal?
It's still, even now, there's still some days and there's some mornings, and for me it's been a lot of the first of things, like the first Christmas that we had, her first birthday, the first Easter, and then a lot of my girlfriends were having babies at the same time, and for me that was the time that I had to really be strong for myself and go, you know what, there was never a point where I was jealous of someone, of them experiencing to be so happy with the birth of their child and the safe arrival of their child. I was envious, because I was like, I really wanted that at that time, and to see them so happy, that made me happy, because I would never want someone to ever experience what we went through. Yeah.
Very, yeah.
So, but with for myself, I've been able to talk about it a lot more, whereas my husband, Mitch, he doesn't talk about it a lot.
Which is common in men sometimes.
Yeah.
So what helped you the most to find healing, to help to get up in the morning?
Even though we wanted to try for another baby, we both mentally had to be really prepared. So I confided in a lot of girlfriends, went to church, and for me that really helped. And I went and saw someone about an experience that I've been through. And I think really it's just about being open and talking to people about what's happened.
Yeah, feeling normal. That it's not just you going through that. And did you have support in like family, maybe midwife?
Yeah, I actually became really good friends with our midwife Shelley, who delivered the Leanne. We still talk all the time. And we were very, very similar. But I think I've met a lot of families and a lot of women. I've become very good friends with one of my closest friends, who lost her baby girl as well. And yeah, I think it's just really about being open and talking,
that's so
and
good.
just having faith that things just will work out. Yeah.
And you're helping as well with the research you found in raising.
Yeah. After we lost Leanne, it was about 6 weeks after, I really wanted to start organising to do something for research, because there's just not enough research for stillbirth. And so we had a fundraising night, and we raised about $26,000 for stillbirth. Yeah, and that just goes to research into what happens.
Yeah.
Because in like 20 years, the stillbirth rate has stayed exactly the same, and for us it was, we never got an outcome of why she passed away. There was no reason for it at all.
And sometimes you need answer to be able to heal. And go from there.
Yeah.
Wow. When it's a tough journey, but at the same time you're so brave and strong, and I'm sure you encourage many others. But tell us, how are you doing now, and how's your family going?
Yes, thanks. We're doing really well. After we had Lilianne, we fell pregnant 3 months later with another little girl, and she was actually due on the same day that Lilianne was born on. And we've had another boy, so we've been blessed with another two little babies. So we've got 2-year-old, and Archer's now 4 months old.
4 months.
Yeah.
And I have to ask, are you going for another one? Or you done?
I don't know, Jess.
We have to wait and see. Alright. Well, thanks so much for sharing with us. You're
Thank
such an
you.
inspiration, and I'm sure a lot of women will find hope.
I hope so,
during their
yeah.
journey. Yeah, they will.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks. Yeah.